Welcome to another video. I'm Tyler Burgess and I'm traveling in the Philippine Islands, Sri Lanka, India, and Nepal in this video. Thank you for joining me. My son and I flew into the island of Palawan of the Philippine Islands. With 1 hour, we are swimming and snorkeling in a freshwater lake. The next 2 days we spent birding with a bird guide. This is from the town of Coron. I love walking through the little villages, and these are our bird guides. This is one of the homes. It was difficult to photograph the birds, so I photographed the flowers, which are gorgeous. We spent a lot of time doing this. My son counted 80 new birds for his bird list. Little church in here. Notice everybody has a satellite dish. It's the king of the roost. There were beautiful birds in here for sure. Oh, and this, I did some. These are just some local people. Everybody wears plastic flip-flops here. We have fresh coconut and fresh piglets, I'm sure. This is my son, Damon. Orchids. And they have fiber optic cable in here. This was the lunch we were brought when we were birding. This is my son again. This is a water buffalo. Little turtle. I love the vegetation. It's a beautiful country. This is one of the homes we passed. Everything's swept clean. The clothes are hanging out to dry. It's one of our sunrises. The food was delicious. This is a shrimp dish. I took out those green hot peppers. We are sitting next to a pool, and right beyond us is the ocean. This is my favorite scuba dive entry.
Are you okay, Mom? Very good.
The water was a little murky because there had been a storm through there and stirred up the plankton. So this is my son and I scuba diving. These are yellow snappers. When I travel, I keep a sketchbook diary. I will share some of it with you. We were there for Christmas, and our wait staff performed a dance for us. We toured the underground river in a boat before my son had to go home, and I went onward to Sri Lanka. It's a little island that used to be called Ceylon. So now I'm traveling on my own, and I'm staying next to a beach just south of the city center. And what's in my suitcase? Oh, it's my folding Bike Friday. It's a touring bike. These are the navigational tools, apps I have on my iPhone. This one shows me a bike route with the elevation gain, and I used it every day. This is my first selfie I had taken near the park downtown, and I love this bumper sticker. This is in the main park, Buddha, one of the artifacts in their museum. It's January 1st, and I'm headed on my bike north through the city center, and the mist in the air is because it is so hot and so humid. It's 90 degrees and feels like 100 with the humidity. It was so interesting to see all the gods that they worship and their temples, and then voila, a Christian church. I didn't have a reservation for the night, as I usually don't, but I followed a sign to this beautiful little hotel. It cost me $15 a night with breakfast. Sometimes I paid as much as $10 a night with breakfast. And this is just cycling along the road. Some of the sights I would see. Monkeys, lizards, monks. This was another $15 a night. And I could stop often and get something to eat and drink. And here's another night where I stayed. I just get a room along the way. This is very beautiful back roads through the rice paddies. This was an old kingdom. And the view from the top in the morning. There's still a Buddhist sanctuary in here. This is in a cave. Who knew Buddha did his own hair? This is a Buddha footprint where people come and worship it. This is a gate to a Buddhist monastery. I saw a lot of these signs to be careful for elephant crossings. I saw signs of elephants, big droppings, and occasionally an elephant in the distance, but I didn't have any problem. This is one of the Buddhist shrines. People bring blossoms for an offering. These are on some of the back roads. My goal was to cycle to the 5 ancient cities. They had been fortresses at one time and big Buddhist monasteries. And some of them are still functioning Buddhist monasteries. I'm cycling anywhere from 12 to 45 miles a day. Sometimes I take a day off to visit the bigger fortress. While cycling in Sri Lanka, I was asked multiple times a day, where are you from? How old are you? And where is your husband? I don't have far to go today, so I'm taking some neighborhood paths, and I came across the Parade of Buddhas, as I called them. It had been raining some, so it was very, very pleasant. It was really hot to cycle here. At this homestay, I was treated as an honored guest and invited to a dance performance by the 11-year-old daughter. That was a Buddhist monk giving the introduction and talking about Buddha. And my hostess's 11-year-old daughter is in this dance troupe. They had a couple changes of costumes, and here she is with her mother. It was so sweet. Oh, and here's my next homestay. They were delightful. This was a big day, 48 miles up 5,000 feet. In Kandy, I spent 2 nights to visit the sacred tooth of the Buddha. My plan was to cycle to the 5 ancient cities. This was in one of them. It's a carved Buddha in the stone. This is a Hindu temple in the countryside. If you want to see the view, you have to cycle the mountain. This is a tea plantation. Back in Colombo, I got to have lunch with Amelia, who I met in 2013 in the Galapagos Islands. Another delicious breakfast in the little hotel run by these guys. And since I'm so close to India, I flew to Chennai, India, and then to a little town farther south named Kochi. Here I took a tour on the backwaters, and we learned some traditional methods of weaving roofs. This is the lovely couple at my homestay. They invited me for breakfast every day, which they don't usually do for guests anymore. Kochi had a big cathedral here. I loved walking around the town, through the back streets, going to a little art gallery. This is the church where Vasco da Gama was buried. He was the explorer from Portugal. His body was later taken back to Lisbon. And of course, Mother Teresa. There was a Jewish community here at one time. Nobody's left, but the synagogue is still open for a visit. Lovely homes back in here. This couple invited me to share lunch with them. That was the view from my rooftop lunchroom. This is the Karakali traditional dance. And this is more of the neighborhood. Some of it's really quite lovely. It was British at one time. So the horns in her mouth make her a demoness. There are many interesting courtyards in here and homes. I joined an intrepid travel group for a couple weeks in India. We went to a tea plantation. You eat with your fingers when you have lunch on a banana leaf. And another selfie with a Muslim group at a garden. We took a train. It was so fun. This huge gar outweighs the biggest buffalo, American bison, by 1,000 pounds. They are unpredictable and will attack unprovoked. But we saw several and kept clear of them. This was Bandipur National Park, and I saw a friendly tiger. We rode overnight on a sleeper train. This is a large and very important Hindu temple above the city of Mysore. In Mysore, we toured the old palace built by an Indian Raj or royalty person, and our lovely group at dinner. Our visit to this old Hindu temple area, I asked a group of 14-year-old girls who were visiting with me what was the meaning of these carvings. And they told me very matter-of-factly, this is to show us how to live. This is all Hindu. We took a train to Madurai, where we took a rickshaw drive at nighttime. It was so fun. This is one of the bulls that they worship. And the shops were open. There's another very large Hindu temple here. There was even an elephant inside. These are different deities. It was fun to walk through a spice plantation, walk through a wildlife sanctuary. These are pictures just as we're riding along in a van. As my son says, safety is a first world luxury. We got to visit a potter along the road and try our hand at it. I failed miserably. It's so nice to see a Christian church once in a while, picture of Jesus, something welcoming and warm. Our last night of our tour in India, we stayed at this historic building, which is a homestay, and this is in front of their house. We went back to Kochi and had a farewell dinner at the Seagull Hotel. These are old Chinese fishing nets still in use. So now I have flown to Chennai, which was Madras. I'm on my own, and I walked to the museum, and it turns out I am the biggest attraction at the museum for the school children. My expedition for this day was to walk over to the Cathedral of St. Thomas. It's not a busy day here, so it was just really pleasant. I walked down to the beach, past Hindu temples. So the disciple of Jesus, Thomas, came here and spread the gospel, and there are many churches of St. Thomas. He had a huge ministry. Then I took about a 1-hour flight to New Delhi and got a tour around New Delhi with a guide in a car. And I flew to New Delhi, got a tour of the Taj Mahal area. It was a spectacular day. The Taj Mahal was built by the king who lived here in honor of his third wife, who died when she was 38, giving birth to her 14th child. Because I was so close to Nepal, I took a 2-hour flight to Kathmandu. This is the main square, and at this entrance you go into a square, and at 11 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a living goddess appears at a window. These are the many deities worshipped by the Hindu people here in Kathmandu.
God and goddesses, and then get together all the friends in this place and we started to sing many different.
I had a private guide who explained many of the things we were looking at. It was very interesting. There was even a monkey at the monkey god. The next day my guide hired a driver and we went to this heritage town where his wife is from.
Used to play the many different kind of
From Kathmandu, I took a bus to Chitwan National Park in the jungle. It was a thrill to see the one-horned rhinoceros. They are guarded by 1,000 soldiers because they are poached, meaning people just cut off their horn and leave them for dead. The horn is worth a lot of money and they sell it to the Chinese.
milk, cheese and ghee. Đây. Anh pizza per देखा. Lo. Leon. Leon đây. La.
The 2-hour canoe ride in Chitwan National Park was my favorite part of the whole trip. The crowning part of my trip was hiking in the Himalayan mountains. I started in Basisihar and I went up to Manang. I walked 5 days to get up to Manang with an elevation gain of 7,000 feet. I hired a porter and a guide just for me. This is a typical meal of rice, lentil soup called dal bat, a few fried potatoes, and some cooked chard, and a little carrot. Tibetans came down here over the mountains centuries ago, and they brought their Buddhist religion. There's a mantra you're supposed to say every time you turn one of those wheels.
Wow, look at that. So I'm not staying in the bottom of the valley, I'm just up the hill opposite.
By the time I got to Manang, it was very cold. At night, all the water and the little guest houses are frozen, but you could get some water in the courtyard. So we spent 2 nights there, and then I decided to hike back down the valley the way I had come. Walking back to Basisihar, I took 6 days because I had started farther up. So it was a 9,000 foot elevation loss, but every day was down the ravine and up again. So these are up and down days. We went very slowly and I felt very good. I loved walking back down because it got warmer every day, and then you end up practically in spring or summer weather as opposed to being snow up higher. And the people were all really friendly. So after a 3.5 month trip, I flew home to Eugene. Thank you for joining me.